Welcome to Toyfeld, the toy show about nothing and everything. If you're like me and you collect way too much stuff, then you've come to the right place. Here we're going to talk about toys from new to retro, all things Lego 1/6 scale, movies, cosplay, camera gear, sneakers, and much more. The list goes on. Alright, welcome to Toyfeld. I'm your host, Obi-Wan, aka 80s Jedi, and tonight in the house we have Jared, the Ninja Turtle Nut, 88. My man, how you going, dude?
Yeah, good, Dave. Yourself, man?
Yeah, mate. Big week and lots to talk about, action figures and all that stuff. Thanks for coming on, man. I've wanted to talk to you for ages about this because I know that you've got a pretty lethal collection of toys. I always tell some of my mates about it. I always tell the story of walking up to your room when you had that collection, and it was like I was in awe of it. And I mean, I've got some action figures, and you know that, but walking into your room, I always tell my mates, I'm like, you got to see Jared's room. It's just off the chain. So I always wanted to know, where did all this come around? Where did it start for you, man? Like,
oh, man. Well, where it started for me was Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Okay, I was born in 1988. So, like, when I was, like, 4 or 5 in the early 90s, I was getting big into Ninja Turtles, and everyone that had sort of rode that wave of the Ninja Turtles coming in with the cartoon and everything,
yeah,
they were all getting older. They were getting into skating and stuff. So I got a lot of hand-me-down VHSs and toys and stuff of Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, cool.
So that was my first big passion. But I was always big into just cool action figures as a kid.
So you had, is that like your first memory of toys to Ninja Turtles? Is that like the first main figure?
My first, like, I do remember Mum bought from Cash, she bought like a big box of G1 Transformers.
Yeah.
Like, I do remember, so one of my earliest figures was like a G1 Optimus. But that was never
money now if you get a good one.
Yeah. That was never sort of something I was big into.
Yeah.
But I remember my first Ninja Turtle figures I can remember were the ones from the movie.
Yeah.
The movie star turtles, like the little rubbery ones that had the spots all over them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you would have been in the Playmates era, though, of course, like with all the cool play sets.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
so,
Playmates.
Because that's a big collection of turtles. Like, they've got mega amounts of crazy and wacky designs. I know a little bit about a little bit. I don't know all the turtles that there are, but I've seen some dudes' collections that have got, like, there's hundreds of different variations.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's army turtles, and then there's, like, the rock star. Like, there's pretty much anything.
Going, yeah.
Footballers. It's like Batman, you know? They just made all these different variants of Batman in the 90s. It's the same with the turtles.
Yeah, wow. So you started with turtles, and did you... So you would have been... So you're 30 now, so... Because when did Turtles come out? When was the main cartoon? About 88, pretty well on the nose,
88.
wasn't it?
I think it was 89, 88, 89.
The movie's 89, pretty sure, isn't it? 89, 90?
Yeah, 89, 90. I think the series might have actually kick-started in 87, because if you watch the original cartoons, it actually says 1987 at the end of the credits, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
So I think that's when it went into production. Like, that's when they started to buy the rights and make the figures, like, get the rights over from the creators and license it and all that.
Yeah. And so that means, would you have been able to catch them in retail, or was it all secondhand?
Well, I never had, like, all the ones I have now, like, my collection that you're so impressed with, like, you got my spare Technodrome in your collection.
Yes, I do.
But my box Technodrome, all my box party wagon, my loose party wagon, my sewer playset, all that, I didn't get until I was well into my 20s, because that stuff I never saw when I was a kid. Like, it was rumoured, you know, this is long before the internet, So unless someone told you about something or you'd seen it on a commercial or in a magazine, you didn't know it existed.
Yeah, right.
You know? So a lot of the turtles I had were all the turtles the vintage turtles I had that were sort of new at the time, all the ones that had gimmicks like wind-up features and just funny little gimmicks like that, spinning heads.
I've just looked it up. So 1987 to 1996 was the original series.
Yeah.
So then you would have been able to catch, you would have been into 88, so you would have been able to catch. Yeah, you would have been able to catch but you would have been watching all the cartoons and everything for sure, yeah?
Yeah. I had a big chunk of the VHSs.
Ah, okay. So just so everyone knows, Jared basically got me back onto the Turtles. As soon as I saw his, it was like a drug. I was like, I'm onto it.
And I
went turtle crazy.
Turtle wagon, yeah.
Yeah.
Big W were doing the cheap turtles for like $10 each.
Yes, I've got those, and I'm really looking forward to setting up the Turtles, and I bought quite a few secondhand as well. So I think I've got the full set of the OG team, so all the Turtles. I've got Bebop, Rocksteady. I still don't have a Foot Soldier, which I'm trying to hunt down a couple.
You want a Foot Soldier? I've got like 3 in my collection. You can have one of mine.
Well, I'm not going to say no to that. There you go. See, guys,
you need a Foot Soldier.
That's the toy love there. That's what the community's about. But
so where were we at your Foot Soldier?
Yeah. What's the vehicle called? Is it the Foot Cruiser?
The Foot Cruiser, the Cadillac.
Yeah. I
did see your pictures on Instagram. It looks dope. The ones you took on the road.
Yeah. So I had a mate. I don't know whether you had a mate like this, but I had a mate that had every toy.
Yep. I had 2 of those. I had two of those bastards growing up.
Well, this guy, he had the Technodrome, he had the Foot Cruiser, he had the Blimp, he had everything that you could think of, the Party Wagon, all the play sets, all the Turtles, and I remember going around there, and it was just like heaven. And they were so used to playing with it that it meant nothing to them. So
yeah, they didn't care. Yeah.
And so I think the Foot Cruiser cost me maybe $100 to get it here, but I can't wait to set it up and set up all my Turtles, and I'm probably going to even dip into some of the crazy ones as well, because it was something that I could never get when I was a kid, just because I didn't want to collect too much stuff. We didn't have too much monies and whatever else. But thank you to you. But you got me into didn't get me into it, but you got me kick-started back on the Turtles.
Rekindled it. Rekindled that love. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but you did the same for me with the Power Rangers. Because right after Ninja Turtles, it was Power Rangers for me, because I was like 5 when Power Rangers hit.
Yeah, right.
And
that would have been massive for you.
Oh yeah, man, that was huge. And there were 2 friends I had that same as you were saying, that just had. There was this one kid I knew growing up, Jake. He was a few years younger than me, and his parents brought him every Megazord. Like, he had every one of them as they'd come out. Like, when they brought they had the Turtle, the Tiger, the massive Megazord, the flying one. I think it was at a time where there was like 6 different ones in the series.
Yep.
And he had all of them like the day they came out.
Did I could tell the same story. I had a kid who lived across the street, and he had all of them as well. But I'm trying to think, with the original Power Rangers figures, did they have? In my mind, it kind of reminds me of Voltron. Could you put the Power Ranger in the box?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
But they had the first, because you had like I think they were like maybe 8 or 9 inch figures.
Yes.
That were like probably the same scale as a Barbie or something.
Yeah.
And came in like a doll box sort of thing.
Yes.
And then you had the smaller figures that had the unmasked identities, and they had like a little flip thing on their belt, and they'd flip the head would flip around and flip into the chest, and the mast head would come out.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Or I must get confused because all I can think of is Voltron, but it's only because I know that they join up as the Megazoid thing, don't they?
Yeah.
So yeah, actually, I've just looked them up now, dude. They actually look a little quite articulated. So the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, 8-inch figures. It come with the original team, so your red, yellow, blue, black, and green.
And white. They did white later on.
Did they? Yeah,
and they also did villains as well, but the villains weren't as articulated. They were like a soft plastic, and they only had like 3 to 5 points of articulation, so like head and arm.
Yeah. So these guys come out from what it looks like they came out in 1993, from what I can see.
Yep. That sounds about right.
Sounds about right, doesn't it?
5. Yep.
And so did you get into those as well, or no?
Yeah. I had no idea what Power Rangers was when it first came out.
Yeah.
I had a little Jewish friend that introduced me to it, and he was like, he's like, this is really cool. And I remember watching it when it started airing and just falling in love with it like any other kid.
Yeah. It was definitely a cool show, and I remember I almost fought against myself just to not buy them because I knew that if I bought a couple of them, then you got to get them all, really, don't you? And that's why I bought all those the Fig Arts ones that now you're the owner of, and now that looks like they're bringing out
sitting right here at the edge of my detox.
Yeah. But so are they re-releasing them now with head sculpts? Or is it?
They're re-releasing. I can't remember if they're convention exclusives or overseas exclusives, but they are doing Tommy, Jason. I think they're doing Tommy as the White Ranger, the Green Ranger. I know they're definitely doing the Red and Green Ranger re-releases with the new head sculpts.
Yep.
But Bandai, I can't remember who bought the license. Have a look who's bought the Power Rangers license, because whoever's bought that, because I think it was Bandai that had it.
Yes.
Or they've just bought it. So check that out.
So Power Rangers license, Hasbro just bought the Power Rangers franchise from Saban.
Yeah, so the stuff that Saban was doing, it was a bit clunky and didn't look that great.
Yes.
They were sort of putting it in they were very reminiscent of those Dragon Ball Dragon Star figures that Bandai are putting out at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen them. They're like articulated Dragon Ball figures. Yeah, they're really bulky. They're a bit rough.
Yeah.
But the new ones, because who's bought it now? Hasbro. Yeah. The ones Hasbro are doing look amazing, Black Series, Marvel Legends quality.
Okay.
Not as superhero buff. They look thinner.
Yes.
And
that was what was good about the Fig Arts ones. They looked legit.
And these look legit like the SH Fig Arts. And see if you can bring up a picture just so you can see it yourself of the White Ranger they're doing. That's the first one they've released pictures of.
So Power Rangers Hasbro, then it will be. Hasbro.
Yeah, White Ranger. New White Ranger.
Images.
And it's got like an unmasked Tommy head.
Yeah, I can't find it. It's probably because... Yeah, okay. But I'll definitely look into it.
Because, they look a lot better
they do look pretty cool.
You found it?
Yeah,
it looks cool, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I wonder what mould they've used for that. Almost... Yeah, right.
They could be a new mould, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah. But, I mean, they look pretty sleek. And if they're cheap...
well, they're going to be the same price point as a Black Series or a Marvel Legends, from what I understand.
I still would think that the Black Series would be superior, I think, just from the amount of hands and stuff that you would get. But I'm looking at the White Ranger now, and it looks pretty damn cool for, if you're going to be able to get it for $20 or $35 or whatever it may be. And
how good does the face look?
Yeah, it did actually look... Well, they've got the real true scan happening now at Hasbro, which is cool.
Yeah, man, that Island Journey Ray from Last Jedi.
I don't have that. that. Yeah.
I imported it from overseas.
Everyone talks
I wanted
about
it so
that,
bad.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to stay away from those figures. I'm trying to just stick with the original trilogy.
I've got a funny story about that.
Yeah.
My phone, you know how it has people in your phone?
Yes.
Like, if you've taken photos of your wife or your son,
yes,
and then pictures of you, it'll have people, and it'll bring up, you know, those 3 people or however many people you've taken photos of.
Yeah.
That figure, I took a close-up picture under good lighting.
Yes.
And that came up under people.
So it thinks it's legit.
My camera thinks it's
So then, for Power Rangers, then figure arts, I was pretty well like you. I think I grabbed all those because I never got them again. Like when I was younger, and those figure arts ones when I saw. Look, I will say I definitely jumped on the gravy train. Like I jumped on the train, but
I'm glad you did.
Well, but it's because they were so good. They popped so good in photos and the colours and everything. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get these. And because they were bringing them out like every 6 months or every year, you know, it was affordable.
You were able to keep up with it.
Yeah, it wasn't like they were bringing one out every week or whatever. So it wasn't too bad, but I'm glad they've gone to a good home because I'm trying to minimalist my collection.
I've been trying to do the same, but as much as I get newer stuff and better stuff,
yes,
I can't help but leave those Power Rangers in the front row. They're still in the front row of the detolf. They might go down from the top shelf to like the second or third shelf, but they're still front of the detolf because they look so crisp. As
a team, when you've got them all together, like if you had one or two, I think it just looks better because they're in the team.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I mean, there's a guy on Instagram. He basically posts all things Power Rangers and everything like that, and the colours that his feed looks like. I'm just actually just trying to look him up. I'm pretty sure his name's Metal XD or something like that. Metal. So it's Metallics XD. I've been following him for years now, but yeah, his entire feed is Power Rangers and all the import style Rangers and things like that.
Super bright and colourful, super Sentai stuff.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he loves it all, and I've been following him for ages, so that's a good one to follow. Shout out to him if you're not following him. But so then you went from Power Rangers, and did you actually have any of the figures when you were younger, or? Yeah,
I had most of the small ones that transformed with the little flip feature in their belt.
Yep.
And the big ones, I only ever had like the White Ranger and the Red Ranger. The Red Ranger was like probably the first one I ever had.
Yep.
And I remember I think it was for one of my birthdays, I pulled all the money I got and I bought the control center, like the Zordon play center.
Yes.
It was like the big mountain play set that had Zordon in it and it had like a little voice changer so you could talk through it, and your voice would switch over as Zordons through the speaker and stuff.
Was Zordon the droid, or was that the big guy on the screen?
Alpha was the droid, and it came with a little Alpha.
Okay.
It came with a little Alpha, and it had like a back exit into the desert, and just had some cool little play features. It was actually a pretty tidy play set.
I really wish they would bring back the play sets. I know that Playmate still does turtle ones, but
the turtle ones are good, but need to do more.
Like, when's the last time you got like a Cadillac, or when's the last time you got like, things like that are just, they're epic and they just, I would buy it.
Well, let's be honest, Hasbro are really stepping it up with their Riders series. We got Ghost Rider now, we got Wolverine, we got Black Widow, all on motorbikes.
Yeah.
And then they're bringing out Professor X in the same line. I don't know if you saw it.
I have seen that, yeah.
And his hover chair. So there is hope, you know. They know that collectors want that bigger stuff, that better stuff.
Yes.
You know, Hasbro went with that, the skiff. Did you see the skiff they did? The massive skiff.
For Star Wars?
Yeah. They did one, and basically you pretty much had to pre-buy it. So you had to... Are you
talking about a sail barge?
Yeah, that's it. Sail barge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. That's a beast, that thing. That's for your vintage scale collection figures, though. But I mean, there's even... I've bought them myself. So there's the guys out there that have made those Star Wars walls. I've bought those plastic walls.
Oh, Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah. What is it? GPT Toys, I think, or GTP, something like that. But I've got a set of the walls. I mean, I think they cost me near on $100 and something bucks. But Hasbro could do the same thing.
Easily.
Yeah. And actually, I don't know who said it, but someone said it the other day about... They were bringing out a new Han Solo in Stormtrooper gear, and someone put in the comments, can he come with the little comm so that he can be like, you know, a little boring conversation anyway, little rack that he uses, you know, just as a little playset item. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would be cool as far as playsets go, but yeah, we went down the playset path there for a bit.
Yeah, bloody NECA are getting onto it with their dioramas though.
Now that is a playset. That's
like that turtle one I got. Like that's sitting above my computer right now, and that thing is just it's literally right above here. It's just magic. So every time I look at it.
Did you get onto the new turtles? You obviously got onto the new ones, or
I didn't get the turtles. I could afford the turtles or the diorama, and I figured the turtles would probably be easier to obtain, which was a good thing because about 2-3 weeks after I bought the diorama, they said that they're re-releasing the turtles later on down the track, and they're going to have less accessories, and they're going to release them singly.
Yes.
So I feel like I made the right decision because the diorama was limited to... I think it was like a few thousand or something.
Good choice. See, I think it was
2,000.
Completely off the map. It was right when I was moving house. All I was seeing, it was on like Instagram and things like that. And I was like, I'm lost because I couldn't get on net. I couldn't do anything. I mean, I really should have jumped on that train, but I did jump on the turtle train because I think I got mine from a local company. What is it? My Little Toy Shop or whatever it is. I got it from there.
Yeah, that's who I was going to put.
Yeah, so I think what did they work out to be each? Maybe $30 or $40.
Oh, okay, yeah. Whoever I was looking at, they were $170 for the floor.
So $40 each or whatever. I mean, that's our going rate these days for figs.
Yeah,
but,
and our dollars just. Going silly.
So from then Power Rangers, then where did you go from there? You weren't a Star Wars kid? I think
it was Street Sharks. No, man, Star Wars didn't hit me until Attack of the Clones.
Okay, wow. Yeah, you were that bit older, aren't you?
Yeah, and
you're a bit younger, sorry.
Well, that's when that's when I was working.
Yep.
And that's when I sort of started jumping into collecting more. Because I'd sort of grown up, but I still appreciated figures. I wasn't playing with figures, but I still appreciated them.
Yep.
So I was still buying them and collecting them.
And were you keeping them mint on card, or were you opening them, or what?
I was opening them when I was getting Star Wars figures.
Yeah, cool. I was too. I was about 20 when the Clone Wars was going strong, but I don't know whether it was Clone Wars or whether it was like a saga series that they brought out of, and they were all heaps of clones. So I'm not sure whether they were from the Clone Wars or whether it was just during that era. But so hang on, I'm just trying to work out the timing. So Phantom Menace come out in '99, so I would have been 18 in 2000.
It was 2002
Yeah, okay.
2002.
For Attack of the Clones. Okay, so then they must have brought out, I'm pretty sure it was called the Legacy Collection for Star Wars, and I think that's where I grabbed a stack of clones and a whole bunch of just like, you know, your little 3 3/4 inch Star Wars figures.
The Legacy Collection, they started, that was a spin-off from the Attack of the Clones, because they did the Attack of the Clones line.
Yes.
Because that's when I was heavy into it. That's when I was like collecting everything I could find.
Okay. Yeah, I was like you. I grabbed a couple of clones, but I mean, I'm like 20 at this stage, and I was opening up these figures and I was putting them next to my TV in my unit.
I was doing that, you know, when I was 15, 16, putting them on a shelf.
Yes.
And then, like, I just, you know, it all kind of just snowballs from there, doesn't it?
So, okay, so the Legacy Collection toy line debuted on July the 26th, 2008. So I was obviously buying stuff pre-Legacy Collection then.
Okay, so I'm just trying to think. It might have been the Saga Collection.
Maybe so.
Might have been called the Saga Collection. I do remember the font. Like, I do remember the packaging was like a black and silver.
Maybe so, yeah.
It was black and silver with like silver writing.
So
it was the one that came out. It was the figures they started doing after Attack of the Clones, and they were a little bit more articulated, a little bit more movie accurate. You had more die-cast parts and like magnetic features in them, and you had more like original trilogy characters, not just episode 1 and 2.
Okay, yeah. So we must have both been buying the same thing then, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so do you still have any of those figs, or are they gone?
I've still got the remnants of my 3 3/4 inch collection.
Yeah.
Because, like, I collected them from 2003, or whenever the Attack of the Clones line started. I collected pretty much everything through the next 3 lines, right through Revenge of the Sith. I collected all the original Attack of the Clones, like the Clone Wars animated series figures.
Yeah.
And like every Jedi Starfighter, the gunships. I had a Millennium Falcon from the 90s, and I had a lot of Power of the Jedi and Power of the Force figures.
Yeah.
And just had like a massive collection. And then I always loved the Expanded Universe novels and stuff.
Yeah.
And when Disney bought Star Wars and they canned all of that, as a bit of a protest to that, I got rid of everything I had to do with the movies and just kept my Expanded Universe stuff. Because I was like, well, nah, screw you, Disney.
Yeah, right.
But then, you know, it all worked out because I love what Disney have done with the saga films.
Yeah, okay. I wish you had kept them gunships. I always wanted one of those gunships.
Oh, man, that gunship was so cool.
There's one, there's a model
had all
that
the
has...
clones hanging out of it too.
Yeah, there's a model that has the, like, it almost looks like a fighter jet. It's got, like, the mouth and everything painted on the side.
That's the ATT clone trooper, ARC trooper. Sorry, it's the ARC trooper gunship.
So
and it's turquoise, and it's got the mouth like the fighter pilot.
Yes,
sort of red mouth with the teeth. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So I've just Googled. Here it is. Here. Okay, so it's the Star Wars Republic gunship.
Yeah,
and it came out in the Star Wars Saga collection.
Oh, it was the Saga collection.
Yeah,
that's what I said, wasn't it? Yeah, Saga collection. That's what we were collecting.
That is an absolute beast of a ship. You know what? That's one thing that is on my... I'm going to call that my bucket list. I want that ship, and I think they go for a pretty penny these days.
You know, it's funny. When I was about 16, I saw one on holidays in Christchurch.
Yes.
And they only had like 160 New Zealand dollars on it.
Yeah.
And it was just too big to bring home. But
Yeah,
that's one
yeah.
of my biggest regrets, that I didn't buy that
The gun
and just
ship.
put it in a box and just send it home, man.
I just like the fact that, you know, it reminds me of like the Top Gun, like, you know, it's
It's
just
cool.
it's just a cool thing, and I'm actually a bit disappointed. I started watching a bit of Clone Wars because I kind of watched it, but I kind of didn't.
Well, there's 2 series. Which one are you referring to?
Well, I didn't know there was 2 series. Is it,
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There's that one, that gunship that you like
Yes.
is from the original one.
yes.
So the original one they did was animated.
Yep.
It was made by the same company that animated Samurai Jack, I believe, if you know what
Yes.
Samurai Jack is.
Nope.
Okay, it's a cartoon that just has like a really wild animation style. But they did, I think it aired on Cartoon Network,
Yes.
and it was shorts, and they were 3 or 4 minute episodes, like little short episodes.
So I'm just looking it up now because I
think it was called The Clone Wars.
yes, because someone sent me.
There's 2 seasons of it.
Yes.
The first series is like 2 or 3 minute episodes, and it's made up of about 20 episodes, I think, or maybe 12. And then the second series, I think they made the episodes a little bit longer. And
Okay.
it's set in between episode 2 and 3. And they released those episodes in the gap between making episode 2 and 3.
Okay, well, the one I've just gone on Star Wars Clone Wars, and it says season 1, season 2, season 3.
Oh, that's
and
the other
it.
one.
Okay, now I think that's the one that I've watched that I really, really enjoyed. It was
Because there's 5 or 6 seasons of the computer animated one.
yes,
And then Rebels is like a continuation / spin-off of that.
yeah. I never watched the Rebels,
the one you've seen is like cartoon. It's like cartoon as.
Yeah, okay, so this is it. I was trying to find that name. I've got a mate that had sent me this. Tara Tugovsky, created by Jendi, so however you say that name. But these 3 seasons, I'd watched the entire lot on YouTube.
There's only 2 seasons.
Oh, okay, so what's it saying here? So season 1, season 2... Oh, it says season 3 here. It goes all the way up to 2005 on that, whoever this guy is. And then I know that then
it must
there's
be
a second...
broken up differently, but there is only 2 seasons.
Okay, so not to be confused with the Star Wars Clone Wars 2008 TV series.
Yeah.
Well, then this is the one that I want to watch again, because I'm pretty sure the clone troopers and everything, there wasn't much talking in it.
No.
All the clones
they're
were pretty...
using hand signals and stuff.
Yes.
See, what you're thinking of, what you've seen, is the ARC Trooper arc.
Yes.
That gunship that you like, they fly in that gunship, and they're like a specialist team of ARC Troopers.
Yes.
Like super, super elite, man. And they're going in, and they're like parasailing in, like... And
I'm pretty sure, like you said, that I can't remember whether it's Obi-Wan or who it is, but the clone troopers basically, they don't talk, they just point.
No, that's the commander. He's all in red.
Yes.
And he's sort of hiding behind walls and then like, you know, sort of like waving everyone forward and just being really stealthy.
So then I want that series then, because that's epic, but I've seen it.
Yeah.
But then... I think because we were talking about Clone Wars, the 2008 series was on Netflix, but now they've got rid of it.
Oh,
I watched season 1 and I was thinking, oh, sweet, I'm going to watch all these because I've never...
Just go buy it on Blu-ray.
So I'm thinking,
It's so good. It's so good, especially when you get to like... I think it's midway through season 3 and things just get crazy. They introduce Darth Maul's brother.
Yes.
Darth Maul comes back in season 4. And then you've got
and that'll
like the
tie
Lost
in a bit
season.
to Solo as well, won't it? Kind of thing.
Yeah, it does. And then they're bringing it back for another season.
Oh,
they're doing
that's
another
right.
season.
They announced that, didn't they? Yeah. So this is why that's why I want to watch it. Okay. So that was we that's what's good about podcasts. You talk about Star Wars and you go down the rabbit hole of talking about Clone Wars. But then from like Clone Wars figures, then did you have a break like most people do? Because I know that I did from about the age of about 17 to almost 20 odd, where I just didn't collect figures. I just bought the odd one here or there.
Well, I did have a cool off period, but it probably didn't happen until I was about 19 when I got into cars.
Yep.
When I started buying import cars.
That's right. And that's usually when your money goes kaboom. You got cars, and you probably just run out of time. You think, all my money's going to go on all these cars and everything like that. But
that's
exactly the same thing happened to me. My toys and collectibles took a back step to cars and alcohol and everything else. So, okay, so then when do you reckon it reignited then?
So, I think it seriously reignited, because like I always sort of kept it going. Like I had friends that were collectors and stopped collecting that gave me their collections because they knew, because I still displayed my stuff and had a lot of love for it. So I had I had about 3 friends that actually used to donate. One friend in particular, Neil, he used to donate. He'd come around and he'd just bring bags. Like he'd stop at his parents on the way over to coming over, and he'd just drop a bag filled with like 90s Marvel and DC figures.
Wow.
And he'd be like, "Here you go, man." And for my 21st, he covered my bed in mint-on card Dragon Ball figures.
Yes.
And about 50 or 60 of them.
And so this is something that, have we just completely missed it? Because Dragon Ball's like you're everything. When did this fall in? Did we just completely just miss Dragon Ball Z somehow?
No, well, Dragon Ball, like I suppose that was in between, before Star Wars, but then, because Dragon Ball was sort of funny, like they produced toys and then they didn't produce toys and then they did produce toys, and they weren't always easy to get here in Australia.
Yes.
But like I said, my friend gave me a massive collection of his, and I didn't have, like I had a few, like, but in my youth, sort of growing up spending a lot of time at the markets, I got a lot of collections and then I traded them off. It wasn't until I started collecting Star Wars that I actually started holding on to stuff.
Yeah,
like, because I'd get like a collection of Dragon Ball figures and then I'd sell them, or I'd trade them for cards or for something else.
So I'm just reading here, Dragon Ball Z aired in Japan on Fuji TV from April 26, 1989 to January 31. And then it says 1996 before getting dubbed into the territories, United States, Canada, Australia, Europe and India and all the rest of it. So does that mean we didn't see it till 1996? We
didn't see the toy line here and the anime until 1998, 99.
Okay.
Like it might have debuted on cable in its infancy, like in the original dub earlier.
Yes.
But I know in Australia on free-to-air TV, when we were watching it on morning TV, it was 1998, 99.
Yep. That sounds about right, because I just missed Dragon Ball Z. I think we've spoken about this, where I was doing an apprenticeship and I was getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning and I missed the whole Dragon Ball Z era. So I wasn't going to school anymore. At the age of like 16, 17, I was off doing an apprenticeship. So normally that's when you get up in the morning and you watch all these cool cartoon shows.
Yeah, but, and I was 11 or 12.
Yeah, right. So you were right in the mix of it.
Yeah.
And but I then soon made up for it, and I've watched them all since.
Yeah. Good man.
Yeah.
Good man.
And I watched the long ones too.
Yeah. Good.
So, well then, we really did miss Dragon Ball, because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but is that your favourite figure and or toy line? That's your everything?
That's my everything.
Yeah, you really should be called Dragon Ball Z nut then 88 then, should you?
Yeah, I don't know, the Ninja Turtle nut.
That's where you started from, yeah.
Well, when I started, that was sort of a name that my flatmates gave me.
Yes.
Because they set my Xbox up for me for online gaming because they wanted to play it. And they're like, well, what do we call Jared? Oh, well, all he does is watch Ninja Turtle cartoon. And at this time I was trying to collect vintage turtles and watch a lot of turtles. And they were like, Ninja Turtle Nut, that's what we'll call him. Yep. And it was a name I always liked.
Yeah, cool.
When I went with Instagram, I was like, oh yeah, that's a good name for Instagram.
Yeah, well, you know what? Whenever I take a picture of a turtle or whatever, or anything to do with turtles, I'll tag, and all I need to do is click turtle, and your name just goes poof, and I'm like, I'll tag Jared in on that.
Yeah, I get a couple random tags on Instagram from that too, from people
just
I don't
turtles?
know.
Yeah, they must just go, here, check out this turtle, have this tag.
Yeah.
That's good though. I like that it's like that. So Dragon Ball Z then, when did you kick it into another gear with this collection that you've got now, where it's was this 5 years?
Also, I had the really large collection of just all the old school figures, and still do.
Yeah.
Pretty much every figure that was released, 80 or 90% of the figures that were ever released in Australia, during the original runs, I have.
Yes.
So I always had a big cabinet filled with Dragon Ball figures. So I never had a compulsion to go hunting figures, Dragon Ball figures, because I had a pretty extensive collection. And then when the SH Fig Arts started, that's when it sort of started to take over. I saw the first 2 or 3 released, and I was like, oh yeah, not really interested. I've got this cabinet here that's got well over 100 figures. I have a representation of just about every character. I don't need to buy these fancy Japanese figures.
Yes.
And then they released the Scouter Vegeta in the armor with the Scouter and the tail and all that in 2010, I think it was.
Yes, I'm trying to look it up as you're talking, but I can't find exactly when it first came out, because I'm pretty sure the first figure to come out was Goku, was it not?
Yeah, it was. I think it might have been
Goku.
Yeah, it was Goku. Then it was
suit.
Yeah, it was Goku. Then was Piccolo, and then Gohan, I think. And then I think they did Vegeta and Trunks.
And then they did Super Saiyan 3 as well.
Yep. And they did Cell and Freezer.
Okay, so
that was sort of the first wave.
Yeah, right. I can't really find a date type of thing. So
it was early 2010s, 2011. 2012.
Okay. Wow. So it's been going for 8 years then.
2009, I think the line started.
That's insane, isn't it?
Yeah, that's when they released their first one.
Yeah, okay, wow. That's insane. So what is that when you reckon your collection just went kaboom and just... Well, I think... Would you call that the new era of toys? Do you reckon...
Yeah.
Surely there's got to be a new era of toys. I don't actually...
I think that's the new renaissance, man, because that's when Reveltech and Figma and Fig Arts and D Arts just started releasing all these awesome Mario figures and Pokemon figures.
I should try and think of a phrase, but to try and coin the phrase. But I mean, there definitely was a new era of figures that was it's almost like the articulated era, isn't it? Really, it's they stepped up
accessories as well.
They stepped up the accessories, and I almost feel that it coincided with Instagram as well. I know you're only newish,
photography and stuff.
Yeah, I know you're only newish to Instagram, but it just seemed
like... Well, that's because of you. You got me onto Instagram.
But it seemed like as Instagram was growing, these figures came out, and I think because there was such a big circulation or more people talking about them, I think they just... Fuck, it reminds me of Terminator almost. It was like Skynet, you know what I mean? They learn, right? The figure people learn at a crazy rate, right? And they made these figures and all companies learned off each other. And Bandai and people like this went and brought out these models that were just insane compared to everyone else and just stepped up the level so high.
Dude, it's funny that you say it because I'm just thinking about it now and it's just blown my mind because I'm just thinking of just the releases I've seen in the last week and just think, wow, we are so spoiled.
We are in a crazy, crazy time for action figures and it's burning a hole in my wallet, that's for sure.
Well, we're finally at the point where they know, like 99% of the companies know that their demographic is collectors.
That's right.
And
toy photographers.
Like that's the game now.
Yes.
Even Marvel Legends, like that's their main sell. Is they're like, all right, people love accessories. So with like the new Xavier, they're gonna add a Shadow King head.
Yep.
Right. So if you want to build another Kingpin, or you don't want a Kingpin on your shelf, take the head off Kingpin, put a Shadow King head on there.
Who's Shadow King? Who's that?
He's from the X-Men. He was the one that Storm worked for as a pickpocket. That's how Xavier met Storm.
Is this through the cartoons that you learnt this, or comics?
This is through the cartoons, but I'm pretty sure that mirrors the 90s comics as well.
Yeah, right.
She was like a pickpocket working for the Shadow King.
Yeah, wow. I also know too that these guys that make the figures, all these companies now, they all take them to Comic-Con and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
They get absolutely pumped by collectors, and they have to listen. Because some of these collectors now and YouTubers and that, they've got hundreds of thousands of followers. And if they say to Hasbro that, why the hell did you not give Spidey extra hands? Or why did you not like what you're saying? Why didn't, it's almost like they're pointing out the absolute obvious that the toy company hasn't thought about. But they're also getting help from all the people that follow them, helping them point out the obvious. Like people would say, oh, wouldn't it be good if you had this? Wouldn't it be good if you had that? They can then take that ammo to Comic-Con and then basically bombard Mr. Hasbro, Mr. Fig Arts, Mr. all these guys and say, why? And then they either choose to listen or... And at the moment they are. And that's why we're getting such awesome figures, because they're listening.
Oh, man, they are. They really are. Like, have you seen that Hellboy they're releasing based on the comics?
Yes.
And a heap of people complained when they released prototype images. Oh, the knees look ugly, they look shit.
Yep, changed.
And the sculptors released images of him retooling it on Instagram or
and that's awesome.
Online. And people are like, yes, that's perfect.
But it's constructive criticism. It's not. People are actually
learning to behave better on the internet.
Yeah, but they care. These people are passionate. They want the best figure that they can get.
Yeah.
And they'll definitely buy it. But they just want to make sure that if there's an opportunity to get a good figure or even better, they'll voice it. And then when they do, the praise that they get, everyone's like, oh, thank God, how good is this? Like, I know that when I looked at the Mud Trooper from Solo, I saw that on Instagram, and I felt like writing a comment. I actually looked in the comments. The first photo that I saw of it, the feet weren't planted on the ground, and the ankles looked like they didn't really have a sideways pivot on it. Now, I'm pretty sure the most recent photo I've seen, the ankles look a whole lot better. So
someone's given feedback.
I hope so.
Most likely.
I hope so. I mean, what the hell am I going to do with a Mud Trooper that I can only ankle pivot backwards and forwards? I need to be able to pivot, I need a full ankle pivot, and that's just the going thing now. You got to have the full ankle pivot on these figures, otherwise you're just not keeping up, are you? So,
but that's the thing is, I don't think they would release it without that.
Yeah, it was a
They've gotten
weird
to that level.
It was a weird photo, and I know the mud. Like I really love Solo. Like
And you love Troopers.
I do, and that's my only gripe about Solo is I really wish that battle scene went for longer. I kind of feel like I was waiting for like a Saving Private Ryan moment, and then it didn't happen. I wanted like this epic battle, and I didn't get to see it, and I'm like, oh man. But the good thing is I can, my imagination takes over, and hopefully I can do it with some figures in the backyard. So I'm definitely be getting some of those Troopers. But yeah, I mean, look, we're in a good era for figures, that's for sure.
Yeah, man, it's magic. Like, have you seen some of the Masterpiece Beast Wars figures I'm collecting?
I have not. No.
I
know that there was a Prime, wasn't there? There was the 8 Prime that came out.
Yeah, well, I've got the Prime, the Dinobot, and the Cheetor now.
Okay.
And I've got them with a heap of my Takara Generations figures.
Yes.
That are like really show accurate, and just got them all in together. Check out my Instagram. I've taken a heap of photos of them together. They look really good.
Will. I thought you were staying away from Transformers. You got rid of
just the Beast Wars, because
so you're back on Beast Wars. Okay.
I kind of forgot to add that, but when I was about 9, I think that was when Beast Wars came out. Yeah, so that was my Transformers. Like that was the Transformers cartoon I grew up on. So that's got a special place.
That's awesome, dude. But what I'm thinking is because, like you and I have got a lot of topics that we need to cover. I reckon I need to get you on the show again for another couple of parts. Like we might do a Turtle part. We might do a Dragon Ball Z part, because I need a hand with my Dragon Ball Z collection. I'm kind of a bit lost on where I'm up to, or I haven't opened up all my figures to know what and where I should be, so I need a hand with that. But if you want to come back on, man, I'd love to have you back on and go through some of this stuff. And so if anyone's watching, I'm thinking if you can send me a picture of your toy room, I'll make that the thumbnail so everyone understands, what type of collection that we're talking about here. Yeah. You're not here mucking around. You've got some serious good stuff going on. But if you want to just shout out where people can find you, man, where can people find you?
Okay, so over on Instagram, I'm Ninja Turtle Nut 88, and over on YouTube, I'm Gallic Gun Toys.
Yep.
So that's.
And of course, everyone knows me. I'm Obi-Wan and 80s Jedi on Instagram and YouTube. How do you spell your name on YouTube, dude?
Okay, so it's GALICK and then GUN Toys.
Okay, cool, man. And thanks everyone for listening to Toyfeld, the toy show about nothing and everything. And we'll be catching you again soon. And thanks, Jared, for coming on, man. We've got to be talking soon.
You're most welcome, Dave, and thank you for having me. Much appreciated, bro.
Cool, man.